Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Queer Careers video podcast, where we put a spotlight on LGBTQIA+ talent and inspire people to reach their career and development goals. Thank you for watching or listening. I am Marie-Charlotte Coury, Development Chair for the Pride Inclusion Business Group and Employee Resource at Expedia. I am a white woman with green eyes and brown hair. I wear big aviator-shaped glasses, a black sweater with stripes today, and a green jacket. Today I am with Kim Williams, Talent Acquisition Manager, and we both have a background picturing the rainbow, where Travel with Pride is written on top, and as well as the number 1, community, family, pride, on one of the corners of our background. And in the other 2 corners are the Queer Career logo and a little cozy workstation with some rainbow colored elements. So this is the most I'm going to be talking. Over to you, Kim. You have the spotlight.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marie. And I'm so glad to be here. Hi, everyone. My name is Kim Williams. As Marie said, I am a talent acquisition manager as my internal title, but my external title is talent advisor. To describe myself, I am a Black woman, medium skin tone. I am in my mid-30s. I have long braids that are in a high ponytail today. I wear some also kind of big, warm toned glasses. I'm also wearing a black sweater with some gray marbling on it and a gold necklace today. You may also see me talk with my hands a bit. So if so, I have on an Apple Watch and a ponytail holder on my arms. So yes.
Thank you. Do you want to tell a little bit more about yourself before we get started with the questions?
Certainly. So a little bit more about myself. I am a born and bred Texan who recently relocated up to the Seattle, Washington area as part of my role for here at Expedia Group. I have been at Expedia Group for about a year and 3 quarters. I will hit my 2-year anniversary in May. But I have been in the recruiting world and talent attraction and acquisition for about 7.5 years across 5 different companies. At work, I'm a recruiter. At home, I am a coffee addict, a houseplant lover, a Shih Tzu servant, and a cat worshiper. So I have a house full of lots of creatures who need my attention and affection.
That sounds amazing. That sounds very loving. I can definitely relate to that. I have 2 dogs and a cat.
Yes, very loving, lots of energy.
Love the furry creatures. So we're going to start with the first question. Describe your role and how do you organize your week?
Yeah, for sure. So my role as a talent advisor is essentially I'm someone who not only recruits talent for Expedia Group, but I'm also someone who partners with the business and helps to guide them towards finding that right talent. So what I mean by guiding them is that I will bring them resources, details, information, hiring trends that I'm seeing. I partner with them to make sure that we're not just being order takers. I am essentially a partner to the business, right? Like I don't just take their to-do list and go check it off. I want to be effective in that relationship to help them move in the right direction. And then I also help communicate with them any sort of company initiatives like DEI hiring initiatives or queer hiring initiatives or anything along those lines to just help make sure that we have an excellent mix of talent here at Expedia Group. As far as how I organize my week is concerned, recruiting is hectic. There are a lot of moving parts in recruiting. There's always candidates in the flow. There are always new requisitions being assigned. There's always old requisitions being closed or removed. So it's a bit of musical chairs a lot of the time. So what I try to do every day is I will lay out a to-do list and I will then try to stack rank the items on the to-do list based on what is most pressing numerically. So number 1 is the first task. And then after those first 5 things, everything after that kind of falls into like a letter category. So A is like that next batch of things that I need to handle, but aren't necessarily very urgent. B is kind of middle of the road. And then C is kind of bottom of the list. I can get to those things whenever. Something that has helped me with working through this list is I do try to eat the frog first, which is to tackle the most difficult or most dreaded task first. Because once that's out of the way, everything else can just flow smoothly. It's not a big deal, right? And then I also wrap up my day with a scheduled end of day and also a scheduled end of week kind of cleanup time. What needs to be punted to tomorrow? What's become a tomorrow problem? It gets moved to the top of the list for tomorrow. But really, I just focus on zipping things up so that when I close my computer at the end of the day or turn it off for the week and for the weekend, I can proceed without any issues whatsoever. Everything can just move smoothly.
Yeah, it seems like a very important role because it's thanks to you that we have like the best diverse workforce. So thank you for that. And I definitely picked up like you have to be very well organized in this role, right? Like I can relate to your priority system. I have the same, but I have colors. And you definitely must be very good at reprioritizing and reorganizing and just be flexible. And dating a frog definitely makes the day better.
It does. It does. I like the color coding system, and I use that for my calendar actually. So anything red is like a meeting, anything yellow is kind of more social and optional.
Exactly.
Things like that. Yes.
I am the same. Okay, amazing. Thank you. What do you know now you wish you would have known before starting this position?
Great question. I actually wish that I had known much earlier on how much I would like recruiting. I feel like if I had known much earlier how much it actually taps into all of the little bits and crevices of my a little spicy, little divergent brain, then I would have embarked on it much sooner rather than just, 7 years ago when I had the opportunity to pivot into it. I think that if I had done things sooner, I would be more confident in my skills. I may or may not be further along in my career, who knows, but I would feel more at ease with where I am in my career. And I would feel like I had more internal value instead of just external value. And then in terms of Expedia Group in general, I wish that I had worked in the travel industry sooner. I do love travel. It is something that's very important to me and to my family. So I wish that I had pivoted into this maybe earlier on in my career as well. And now that I'm here, I can't think of a place that I would rather be.
That sounds very positive, and it seems like an amazing place to go, regardless of when you go into it. It's really that you're lucky, that you're here and you're feeling so good and empowered. And definitely I can relate to the thing that you said, like, I wish I had known how good it was going to be, because when you're searching, sometimes in your career, you're lost and you don't know what your next step is going to be. And you're not even picturing the role that is the best fit for you. So I think it's amazing. Thank you for giving so much information, because I think like we have some people who are going to consider recruiting for the future. And that's why I think these interviews are so full of value, because they can already taste what it feels for you and what it looks like. So thank you for sharing.
Definitely.
So what helped you get to this particular job, and what helps you be successful in it?
Great questions. So to get to this job, I think there's a couple of things that have helped me. Number one is kind of funny. It's communication style and charisma. My family jokes that I charmed them out of the womb. And so when it comes to kind of landing this job or, gaining trust from my hiring managers or gaining trust from my candidates, I really try and rely on that charisma and on that communication style to just kind of win people over and to be that person that they can trust and connect with. I also like to say that it is my Southern charm and hospitality as well, because again, I am a Texan and we are very good at just kind of cajoling people in and being close to them. But then at the same time, I do back those things up with my proven results. I have proven that I am an effective recruiter. I have proven that I can close my requisitions and take the right steps and to keep all these different things in mind. And then when it comes to being continuously successful, like we already talked about before, it's that attention to detail. things are always hectic, things are always detail oriented, there's always something in play. And then I also try and pair that with being fearless. So if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. If you don't go digging for more information, you'll never figure out what the right answer or what the right course of action is or could be. And even if you get told no at the end of the process, now at least you have sparked an interest in other people along the way. Now they know this is an issue, or this is a concern, or this is an opportunity for improvement. And now we can carry that further forward. So even if it doesn't benefit you right that second, it can benefit somebody else later on.
Absolutely. So I feel your charisma, definitely 100%. So what I hear is charisma, perseverance, and also curiosity. Because when there is something that you think can be improved or that you think is worth digging deeper into the matter, you go for it. So I think it's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Certainly.
So next question, what are the resources that helped you evolve in your career? So queer community, IBGs, LGBT plus job boards, network, books, podcasts, e-learning, mentoring. You just say it because we're really curious and we want to learn from you.
Certainly. So when I was reviewing this question as well, immediately the first thing that came to mind was people and mentoring. So I am the kind of person who operates best when I know that somebody believes in me, whether it is my recruiting manager or my parents or my little cousins or anybody who, my friends, anybody who takes an important spot in my life or my work life. Once I know that somebody believes in me, I don't want to let them down. And it's very easy for me to kind of like want to stoke that pride and keep it going. I do have a special call out to my former recruiting manager, who's also one of my friends and my mentor. Her name is Sylvia. She is the one who always told me to demand more for myself. And she's kind of now that little voice in the back of my head that's like, ask for more, whether it's for myself or for my candidates, or do a little bit more. If you're familiar with like the Meryl Streep, like rooting for her friends meme, that's kind of who Sylvia has become for me, is like that Meryl Streep in the background, always rooting for me. Another good resource is reading. I am a book devourer. I have so many books in the move up here. I actually had a moment where I was like, do I need all these books? And like, without hesitating, the thought was, yes, we do. We do need all the books, and just pack the books, and they are all now here. But especially I like things like Harvard Business Review. Their books are very digestible, very easy whenever you get like the print format or a Kindle format or any electronic format like that. Very easy to digest and kind of plow through. I really like reading them on flights. Like if I have a flight that I know I'm not going to sleep on, just take one of those with me, read it from start to finish on the flight, and then, pack it away when I'm done with it. Last thing for me that's really helped me out, and that's been a really good source, is mentoring other people. So mentoring other people in terms of like, oh, hey, there's a new recruiter on the team, or hey, there's somebody who needs help in this area, or somebody who needs help finding an answer. These things make me pull my empathy back up to the top and kind of put myself back in their shoes. How did I feel when I didn't know this answer? How did I feel when I was still new at my career, at this company, or what have you? And really just putting myself in their shoes to help them find the answer, help them get closer to what they're looking for. And so I feel like that keeps like those interpersonal skills sharp for me.
No, definitely, like mentoring is an amazing resource. Like, and you really like conveyed the fact how important it can be one person in your life. Like this person, Sylvia, for you has been so important, and you keep her in mind, like each time maybe you have a doubt or you don't know how to go and everything, she's cheering for you. So that's a strong message for everyone. Like if you have any doubt, get into mentoring, get someone who inspires you and who you can learn from, and make yourself available for others, because we all have like a different career path. We all have different learnings, and we all read different books in this case, and we can all add a different value. So yeah, thank you. It's a really great answer.
Yeah, thanks.
Now we're getting to the spicy questions, my favorite. Could you share the biggest learning you had from a failure or obstacle?
Oof. I really had to chew on this one a bit because I don't see failures as like an absolute, right? I don't see them as this is something that you have to carry with you forever as a negative. I see them as learning opportunities. So that's kind of how I had to step back and think about this. There's two in particular that come to mind for me. The first one is when I almost lost my job at Apple. And then the second one is the fact that I am an art school dropout of all things. So thinking about the time at Apple, I was this close, impossibly close, a hair's breadth away from being fired from my job. And I chose to instead fall on my sword and quit because I knew that if I was fired, I could never come back. If I quit, there was always hope to come back if that's something I wanted to do. And what it really showed me was that everything isn't for everybody, right? Like just because I am charismatic and I can have these conversations with my candidates or with you or with anybody at work, it doesn't mean that I'm supposed to be a phone support representative. And that job really just kind of picked away at me in a way that just wasn't for me. And kind of in that moment, I was like, it's okay to not be good at this if it's going to teach me what I can be good at instead. So really tried to walk away from that experience, not being too down on myself. I haven't gone back to Apple. It's something that I play with the idea of every so often where I'm like, would I go back if I see that they have like a recruiter job posting? Is that something I would consider? But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know that I'm back at that point in my life, but I am glad that the option is there, even if it's not something I want to take advantage of. And then when it comes to my experience of being an art school dropout of all things, I went to art school out of high school. I thought this is what I wanted to do with my career. I thought I wanted to be an artist, a graphic designer, an illustrator, because I was always drawing. I was always making something. And I got there and I was terribly bored. It was the most boring thing I had experienced in my young life at that point, and I just couldn't get behind it. There was not enough non-art related challenge for me. It just didn't quite sit right with me. And it taught me that art is for me. I don't need to monetize it. I don't need to make it my job. I don't need to have it be my be all and end all. And I don't need to do it on command. It is something that should be for me, that should be private for me. I have done side jobs with my art since then, but ultimately where I'm at now is that's mine. That is mine. It is private and it belongs to me. And I decided that that's just not something I wanted to do anymore. So those I'd say are probably the two biggest failures, I suppose. But again, learning opportunities.
Absolutely. And that's why I felt strongly about this question, because I really want to demystify the negatives around failure. Failure is something that teaches you. It's something you learn from. It's something that, as you said, like, it's not because you're good at doing something that you need to stay in this position if you're not feeling it's fulfilling you. And you have to have the courage to just step out when you don't feel it's something for you. And also for the art school, I think it's an amazing example, because sometimes you love doing something and you put it in another context and suddenly it doesn't work. So you just have to figure out how it works for you. I love these examples. Thank you for sharing.
Certainly.
And now, how has your identity influenced your career?
That's a great question. And I really liked this one. I'm sure you've seen the movie Shrek, or a lot of people have, where he makes the analogy of being like an onion, I think it is. And I think the word parfait is also mentioned in that film. Everybody likes parfait. But I'm multi-layered, just like everybody else is, right? So I am a Black woman, but then beyond that, I am disabled. I do have a chronic illness. I am queer or bisexual. I'm underprivileged. Like, I came from a difficult financial financial background with a single mother. I'm a college dropout, and again, of art school of all things, which like people see that and they're like, that's got to be the easiest thing to drop out of. It was actually quite challenging, but it's the kind of thing where I use all of these experiences and all of these different layers to help influence how I connect with people, right? So when I'm looking at candidates or when I'm trying to fill a job position, I really try and press my hiring team to operate outside of some of these traditional boundaries that they may have. So if they say something like, well, oh, you have to have a degree, I'm like, okay, but why? What is the person doing in this job that dictates a degree? It makes sense for some things, right? Like for legal roles, or if you were a doctor, something like that makes sense. But if it's somebody who is going to be a designer and they learned on the job in previous roles, or maybe they've gone to a boot camp or some other certification course, why does the degree matter so much, especially if this is like a level 1 or a level 2? Maybe when we get into like principal level roles, like maybe we can start talking about that. But if it's somebody who is very early in their career, I don't think that a degree should be a hard requirement. Or if they only want to talk to candidates from certain schools, I want to find out why. Why just this school? And then what says that this other school doesn't have that same talent that you're looking for? Let's kind of keep digging here and see what we can get to the bottom of and see if we can find a spot for someone else. One last way that this really influences my work is that it makes me want to advocate harder for my candidates, both to the hiring team and then also to themselves. So if I'm talking to a candidate and we're talking about like what their needs are and they give me a compensation that is below our band, I'll tell them, that's not where the band starts. You need to aim higher. Or when it comes to negotiating, I will try and encourage my candidates, maybe you should ask for a little bit more. Or I try to partner with them effectively to say, hey, I know that you're asking for this. And so that's what I'm going to lead with. I'm going to let somebody walk me back. I'm not going to walk back for you. And so I try and use these things to really just be an advocate for everybody that I'm working with.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Like, I feel this question is very personal, but it's also what makes you so unique, and challenging the status quo is like the best way to go in the workforce and everything. And I totally agree with you. The degree that we have or something like that, it doesn't mean we're going to be good at a certain job. Like, many times our personal experience, our attitude, the knowledge and skills that we developed, like maybe outside a degree, are much more efficient and valuable than a degree. Like, it's each person is different, and you have to value the person that you have like in front of you, and not necessarily what is written in the curriculum. And that's why people like you are here for this.
Yes.
Amazing answer. Thank you. And we are coming to an end, unfortunately. With the last question, what percentage would you attribute to luck, and which would you attribute to merit and effort?
Great question. So I would say that luck has probably been about 30 to 40% of my success. And I'd say that because all of the jobs that I've gotten as a recruiter have been referral based. We love referrals, by the way. Send us your referrals. We want to talk to them. But getting my resume through the door, getting to talk to somebody on the phone that first time, or even just being in the right place at the right time, has gotten me into the door. Now, what secured it and what has continued my success is the merit and is the hard work. But sometimes having somebody there to buzz you into the door is incredibly helpful and really can kind of spark that journey off. And then the other thing too, that kind of makes me, once I'm in the door, once I'm in the seat, kind of keep pushing on that merit and effort, is that I don't want to make them look bad. I don't want to make whoever referred me look bad. I don't want to make my ancestors look bad. I want to make sure that everybody knows that I'm doing my best. And so initially I thought it was 50-50, but once I chewed on it some more, I'm like, no, it really is just 30 or 40. And then the rest is effort, just because I do put that much into my work every day.
I absolutely agree. Like, I think I'm going to put the same input that I said, like in another episode, it's always like luck can open the door, but ultimately it's the person who puts everything, the effort, the perseverance, the commitment, and the attitude to make it a success. And if you don't have that, probably the doors are going to shut, or you're going to find less doors opening along the way. Yep. So definitely, I agree with your answer. So yeah, we're at the end of the interview. It was amazing. I learned so much, and I think that this interview is going to be learning opportunity and informative for so many people. So thank you so much for participating. I had a really nice time. And for all the people who have listened and watched the interview, thank you for being with us, and keep an ear out because some more episodes are coming.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Marie. It has been a great time, and I look forward to working with everyone again soon.
Amazing. Take care.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.